It's more than just your output, more than a bike. When you hear your shout out, you know it's all right. Put on your magic pants and let's go. We're cruising into the power zone. Clip in, set yourself free. Come on and take a ride with me. Know what you need to know and what's it all about. Everything you need, it's on the Clip Out.
Welcome to the Clip Out Podcast, episode 306. This is Crystal O'Keefe.
And this is Tom O'Keefe.
Hi.
Hello. Hi. Let's get our clock working.
I know.
Sorry. You just jumped right in.
I asked if you were ready.
I know, but normally there's like a more of a pause, and you were like, at it. So.
Somebody's crabby, and it's not me.
Yeah, for a change.
Oh. Wow.
Shots fired.
All right.
And
It's going to be so much fun for the next hour.
keep pedaling. Thanks, bye.
Jeez Louise. I didn't do anything.
I know. Normally, I'm the one not doing anything. Oh, a different kind of not doing anything. You do lots of things.
Okay.
So where are we at? Oh, the timeline this week is 2019.
There you go.
There we go.
Yeah, we're getting through them.
Almost to the end, and people, our Patreon people, they've started receiving their gift. So it's a little booklet version of the timeline.
Yes, it's a printed version, and so far people have been super excited to see it, especially people that have been with Peloton for a while. They've really enjoyed going back in time down memory lane. I think they're enjoying it as much as we are, Tom. Just kind of like digging deep into all this stuff. It's fun.
And if you'd like an audio version of the timeline, you can listen to our Patreon episodes if you want to swing by on over there and sign up. They're all still there waiting for you. We don't delete them or anything.
Yeah.
So
easy to sign up. You just go over to patreon.com/theclipout.
Boom.
And there you go.
Easy peasy. And you'll also get ad-free episodes. And when we get them early, you get them early. So a lot of times you're getting them like Thursday afternoonish.
Yeah.
So if that's important to you, you can get early knowledge for gambling purposes. You want to bet your friends? Yeah. Like, I bet I know exactly how many dick jokes Tom tells this week. Then, and that'll pay for your Patreon membership right there.
Yeah.
So it's a wash.
Exactly.
So you just got to find a sucker. So also, we're going to be in San Jose in just like
oh my God,
a week and a half.
Yeah, it's getting close.
Yeah.
Getting freaked out, people. It's starting to really set in that I signed up for 21 miles and I've done no work.
Have you started training for it yet? Or
I mean, it feels like I haven't. This is not where I planned on my training being.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Angelo says I'll be fine. So,
well, he is the expert.
Yep.
So we will find out soon if he knows what he's talking about.
We sure will.
So, but also, we'll be in San Jose on the Friday. So if you want to come hang out with us, we'd love to hang out with you. We're going to be at a restaurant that I don't remember the name of.
It's called The Brit.
It's the one that sells chicken tenders.
It's called The Brit, and it is downtown San Jose. And my understanding is I think there's free parking. And also we'll be there from 4 to 7 p.m. Pacific time.
Okay. So come have a chicken tender with us. Or 5. So what?
If Tom doesn't eat them all.
Yes. And who's our interview this week? Who are we talking to?
We are talking to Kenlyn Foster. And boy, what a treat. Kenlyn Foster is the Honorable Judge Foster.
This was the judge.
Yes. And what a fun lady, first of all. And she did some really special things at her jail, which sounds weird.
She has her own jail.
Yeah. She doesn't. But I don't want to spoil it. But there's a lot of really cool stuff that she talks about. And of course, her love of Peloton. So a lot of neat stuff happening there. And you definitely want to hear it.
Okay. And then what else, pray tell, do you have in store for people this week?
Well, we have some lawsuit updates. We have some in the news from the Peloton instructors. We have a visit from Dr. Jenn. We're going to talk about mindless eating.
Okay.
And we hear from some of the instructors, like what's going on this week. You can find out why Jess Simms has been MIA. Angelo visits us, best ways to maximize efforts when you're getting in shape. And then we also have a little discussion about Lululemon coming up, SoulCycle, and a bunch of past guest updates.
Awesome. Well, before we get to all that shameless plugs, don't forget we're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, iHeart, TuneIn, wherever you find a podcast, you can find us while you're there. Be sure and follow us so you never miss an episode. Maybe leave us a review. That's always helpful. One of the easiest, simplest things you can do to help us out, if you're so inclined, is share us on your social media feed. Just if you like Peloton, chances are the people you know like Peloton, and you can just push it out there for them to check it out. So thanks to everybody who did that this week. You can also find us on Facebook at facebook.com/theclipout. While you're there, like the page, join the group. Don't forget our newsletter where you can get all the links and things sent straight to you. You can sign up for that at theclipout.com. And of course, our YouTube channel at youtube.com/theclipout. So,
you can see me showing off my Saturday 60 sweatshirt.
And
These are really hard to get.
And you can see me showing off my Smokey the Bear sweatshirt, which is really easy to get because it's at Kohl's. So there's all that. Let's dig in, shall we?
We shall.
Peloton in the news.
So people this week got an interesting email from Peloton that allows you to opt out of Mother's Day emails.
Yes. And so I assume this is if that is triggering for you to, see something about Mother's Day. Now you can opt out. And this is something people have asked for in the past, and Peloton is listening.
So my question is, why didn't we get one for the UK Mother's Day?
Maybe because I don't live in the UK.
Yeah,
like
you think
maybe
they have
maybe
it?
people did, and I just didn't get it because I don't live in the UK.
Yeah.
If anybody out there in the UK got one before the UK Mother's Day,
right?
Curious.
It would just be interesting to know if they could geolocate it to that degree.
It would. Yeah, I'm curious about that too.
So, yeah, I'm conflicted on this. Like, I mean, it's, there's no point in upsetting people for no reason, but I'm also
sure.
like, at some point, like, how are you going to avoid the existence of Mother's Day? Like, that just seems like
it's
a tough road to hoe.
And I get what you're saying. It's tough because there's so many tragedies that can befall anyone. I mean, like my sister died when I was 13 years old in a horrific way. And if I was just like, I don't want to hear about siblings for the rest of my life. I mean, I don't. That's just not the way I was raised. And, know, so I don't know I wouldn't even know how to go about telling other people that, like it's just a natural part of life. Like people are going to have siblings and they're going to talk about them. And so it would be weird if I asked other people to not talk about them. But on the flip side, if people have asked for this and Peloton is able to do it, then why not? Yeah.
No, I guess it's low drag and ultimately it doesn't affect me.
Yeah.
So like whatevs. It's just, that was my first thought. It was just like, how could you possibly avoid it? But I guess this is one less thing that you have to trip over on your path.
I wonder if I'm curious if they'll send out something similar for Father's Day.
I was wondering that as well. Because it also seems like you hear this about Mother's Day, but you don't hear it about Father's Day. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I just feel like the clamor is louder for Mother's Day than Father's Day.
I would agree. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but I've never seen that men have expressed to the same sentiment to not want to see it. Doesn't mean it's not out there. I am not the demo. So maybe I'm just not in the men's group where that occurs, Yeah,
it could very well be. So for our Australian listeners, and we have a story coming up later in the podcast that will be of interest to our Australian listeners. But for our Australian listeners, Zip is now how you can finance your Peloton equipment if you live down under. I guess to them it's not down under, it's just here.
It's just where they live.
Yeah. They're like, we're not down under. No, you're up there.
You're up yonder.
Yeah. We're down. We're right where we're supposed to be. You're up yonder. And if you say that again, up you're yonder.
Yeah. So you might remember that a few weeks ago, a firm exited the Australian market, and when they did, they
were throwing free gifts around like Oprah.
Yeah,
like,
they forgave
you get a Peloton.
They forgave all of the existing bike loans. So now Zip is like, okay, we're taking over right where a firm left off. So I think all Australians are like, is Zip gonna leave too?
Yes. If so,
now is the time to buy a Peloton.
Please do. But it sounds like Zip has a stronger footing in Australia. So it's like they've added a new client where I guess a firm was trying to crack the market and they didn't crack it as much as they thought. And they just said, we're out.
Yeah, that's how I took it too.
Yeah. So anyway, if this is of interest to you, then you're probably not listening because you don't have a Peloton yet. So you don't care enough to listen to a podcast about Peloton.
That's fair.
But on the outside chance that you do, this is how you do it now.
Yeah. Australians who listen, share it with your friends who want to get a bike.
So People magazine had an article.
Yeah.
I'm making air quotes.
That's fair.
You can't hear it on the podcast.
You kind of can.
But
the tone of your voice was very telling.
The 9 best indoor cycling bikes of 2023 tested and reviewed. And then it's basically just a list of affiliate links in case if you want to buy any of these bikes, please click on our page.
And by the way, they might get paid for it.
Yeah.
And by might, they will.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I know Sports Illustrated, you sent me a thing, had something like this for Power Bike or I don't know.
Yeah, it was.
But it was all like it even said at the top like, we didn't write this. We don't really know if it's real, but we might get money.
So click away.
So click it if you're going to buy one of these. Click through from here.
Yeah.
So, but
that's funny.
Peloton got best studio-like experience.
Now, what I find kind of interesting about this link is that it specifically says it's the bike plus essentials at Dick's Sporting Goods.
Yeah.
So did Dick's specifically pay for this instead of Peloton paying for this? Because I don't know. It's just an interesting little question.
It is, yeah. And they might very well be doing that because, Dick's doesn't make money if you buy it from Amazon or from Peloton Direct. So, yeah, they could be driving the train on this one. Who knows?
Yeah. I always find those little details interesting.
Absolutely. I actually had noticed the same thing and then forgot to mention it because I was losing interest in this People magazine article while I was talking about it.
Because it made you lose brain cells since it was not an actual article.
Yes.
Peloton in court.
So this is another article that's behind a paywall, so we only get a smidge of it because it's really expensive to subscribe to Law 360. But they're saying that Peloton investors ask for okay and a $13.9 million treadmill settlement. So this is, from what I can gather, with the family who lost a child to the treadmill, correct?
Yeah, well, it just says the Peloton shareholders have asked for the federal court. So I don't know because this one, if you read the rest of this, it says that it would end the claims for the exercise equipment manufacturer misled them about the safety of treadmills that were used in the that were then taken off the market. So the way I took this is this is another one of those like class action lawsuits.
Oh, this isn't directly with the family.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I took this to mean this was one from like a group of people that were like, hey, we were misled about how safe this was.
Gotcha.
I don't know. That's just my interpretation.
Yeah. So it sounds like this particular suit must be pretty close to the end if I guess it sounds like Peloton must have made an offer and the people suing want the offer. They just need the judge to say yes. Is that
it
your
says Peloton shareholders have asked. So I don't know. Yeah, that is my interpretation.
Right.
But it is a little cloudy. Like you said, it's behind a paywall, so it's weird. But that is my interpretation. And I also think we'll probably hear more about this fairly soon, like within a month or two. So we'll probably be able to wrap this one up.
Yeah, it's nice to see the more and more of the lawsuits getting resolved. They've been kind of on a tear in that regard.
They really have.
Yeah.
They really have.
Peloton stock ticker.
DefenseWorld.net which is not a military site, I don't think.
To my knowledge, it is not, but it sounds like it should be.
It does sound like they should be talking about, there's a new line of tanks, and we rate them.
does.
Click on the links if you're going to buy your tank right here, so we get 0.01%. So they have an article about, it says Peloton Interactive now covered by analysts at KeyCorp. And so I guess it's just the different stock brokerage firms and their opinion of the future of Peloton stock. And it is all over the board. Yeah,
and really that is the whole reason I wanted to include this. I've seen a lot of negative coverage this week because last week they were like, traffic on the web isn't as good. We talked about that. But I found it interesting that the response, although overall the market is down, I mean, there's no getting around that.
Right.
The response from the different analysts have been so varied because some people are raising the target price, like W. Baird raised their target price from $12 to $14, and then they gave the company a neutral rating. And then Bernstein lifted their price from 13 to 20, and they did that just on. But these are in February when they made these changes.
Right.
Okay. And then there was just some other ones.
And then it says JMP Securities downgraded Peloton from an outperforming rating to a market perform rating.
Yeah.
And then Goldman Sachs lifted the price target from $12 to $14 and gave the stock a neutral rating in a research note. And then finally it says Credit Suisse. Okay, group lifted their price target on Peloton Interactive from $10 to $12 and gave the company a neutral rating report. So it's and then it says, so in summation, it says 3 research analysts have rated the stock with a sell, 14 have assigned it a hold, and 10 have assigned it a buy.
So really split. Yeah. And then if you scroll down, there's some other information here that in general, they're talking about how it's up. But again, I just want to be clear that they said that it was up this week, but that it is overall, the last quarterly earnings data came from February 1st. And so some of these numbers tend to be from that. So this is a little bit confusing. You got to wade through it. But really the end result is that in the short term, it's been very volatile, but there's a lot of people that are still very mixed on this. And so I just found it interesting.
For sure. It is all over the board. And if people want their clickbait headline, they can pull out whatever piece of information they want to harp on, whether everything's great or everything's in the toilet. It's all right here.
Yeah.
And coming up after this, Dr. Jenn is going to talk to us about how to be mindful of mindless eating. So stick around.
Getting the psychological edge with Dr. Jenn.
Joining us today via the magic of ZoomTube is Dr. Jenn Mann, licensed marriage, family, and child therapist and sports psychology consultant. You may know her from VH1's Couples Therapy with Dr. Jenn or VH1's Family Therapy with Dr. Jenn or her long-running radio show, The Dr. Jenn Show. She's written 4 best-selling books, including The Relationship Fix, Dr. Jenn's 6-Step Guide to Improving Communication, Connection, and Intimacy. It's Dr. Jenn. Hello.
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 I miss those shows. I know you do too. Okay, so one of our listeners has a question for you, Courtney Fields. She is struggling to keep her eating, and these are her quotes, tight and on track. Man, do I love to snack and graze. Working out is never my problem. I need someone to keep me out of the kids' snack shelf in the pantry. Help.
Okay. Well, first of all, it sounds like she's doing a lot of mindless eating.
It does.
So the first thing is to really start to be more mindful. And you guys have heard me talk a million times about the hunger scale, but maybe she hasn't. And that is a scale from 0 to 10, 5 being neutral, where you rate your hunger. 10 is the fullest you've ever been, Thanksgiving full, your stomach is going to tear open, you're so full. 5 is neutral. 0 is you fainted, you're on the floor, you're so hungry, you can't move. So if you think about it this way, a 4 is, I think I'm hungry, I'm not quite sure. A 3 is, I'm definitely hungry, you're not questioning it. A 2 is where you're starting to not feel so good. You're over hungry, maybe you're cranky, maybe your stomach is grumbling. And then a 1 is where you're really starting to feel dizzy. You're starting to really not feel well.
You're going to cut a bitch.
You're totally going to cut a bitch.
Yeah.
And you're hangry. Then on the other side of that 5 is a 6 is, I could tell that I've eaten, but I could run down the block if I needed to. A 7 is I'm full. An 8 is I'm now uncomfortable full. And a 9 is I'm starting to be in pain. So what you want to do is when you go to reach for that snack, ask yourself, where am I on the hunger scale? And if you are a 5, which is neutral, or anything above a 5, don't have the snack. But allow yourself to have the snack, but just wait until your body is actually asking for it. Because when we're hungry, our body is asking for fuel, and we need to fuel it. So maybe you pick your snack and you say, okay, I'm gonna wait until I'm a 4 and then I'll have a snack. Because if you're saying a snack, it's probably not that much food, and that will take you from a 4 to a 5. The other thing that I would recommend doing is to really look at what you're eating. You may be someone who your body just really likes to have a lot of little small meals throughout the day, and that really works for you, but you are judging yourself for it and you're critical of what your body wants, in which case, let's work on getting rid of these ideas of how you should eat and really work on listening to your body and respecting that that's what your body wants. The other part that I would recommend looking at is how you're eating in between those snacks. Are you eating meals that are satisfying? Are you depriving yourself too much? Are you not eating the foods that you really love? Or are you trying to not eat certain foods like carbs or sugars or whatever it is? Maybe you're depriving yourself too much and your body is craving these things because you haven't given yourself enough of that kind of fuel that your body wants. So then you're kind of in between, kind of veering towards it. And then the third thing I would ask that you look at is, psychologically speaking, are you using food to avoid thinking about something else? That sometimes we reach for a food because maybe we're going through some stress, or we're thinking about a painful time in our life, or there's some trauma that we haven't really processed. So we look to food to calm ourselves, to soothe ourselves, to distract ourselves. And then we get obsessive about like, oh, I ate this thing. And then we start thinking about, oh, I'm so mad at myself that I ate that. And when we go down that spiral, a lot of the time we're distracting ourselves from other things that are more painful and more difficult to think about.
So it can pull you in a lot of directions. Like, it's not just about hunger or not hunger. There's a lot of things that can be going on there.
And what do you do when you're eating because you're bored?
I think that you have to look at, where am I not finding fulfilling things in my life? What kind of hobbies do I have? What kind of passion projects am I doing? What kind of books am I reading? And I think that one of the things I see a lot is complacency, that it's so easy to pick up our damn phones and just start going down the TikTok or Instagram spiral. And before we know it, hours have gone by and then we're not fulfilled. We're like, even when we're entertained, we're kind of bored underneath it. And we don't tend to feel good about ourselves when we go down that spiral. But if you create something, if you make a collage, if you go for a walk, if you paint a picture, if you do something creative, if you even do a crossword puzzle, a word search, you're going to feel a whole lot better about yourself than sitting going down the social media spiral.
Just to be clear, though, except if you're on Clip Out Crystal's Instagram or Dr. Jen's Instagram.
And look, truthfully, and all joking aside, I do think when we are learning, we feel better about ourselves. And I think in particular, the kind of crowd that is watching this show is, as we've talked about, I think it's a lot of type A's like me and you. It's a lot of people who are looking to grow, a lot of people who are looking to have better workouts, expand their minds. And these kind of people in particular need to make sure that they're consistent with that.
Yeah, definitely.
It's very different sitting and watching the Clip Out or a documentary or a podcast about, how to improve your brain or your nutrition or anything like that than sitting and just watching a bunch of cats licking each other. Don't get me wrong. I love a good cat Instagram. I live for that. but it's not, well, I get a little bit of a serotonin rush for 5 seconds. When I walk away from it, I don't feel deeply satisfied.
I agree with that. Yeah. I find that I really need to do projects while I sit and watch TV or something like that. Or if it's like a half hour, that's fine. But if we're like binging, I need to do something else while I do it.
Exactly. And also for anyone who is finding themselves going to the snack and is thinking, oh, you know what, it's that first thing. I'm not being mindful of my eating. I want to recommend, I have an app called No More Diets that has videos in it. It's got the hunger scale. It's got a food log where you can practice rating your hunger, and a lot of great tools.
Very helpful. Very
Awesome.
good tool.
Well, thank you so much for all that. Until next time, where can people find you?
People can find me on all my social media at Dr. Jenn Man, 2 N's on Jen, 2 N's on Man, and also I'm going to be speaking at the California Association of Marriage and Family Therapists.
Oh, very fancy.
Congrats.
Yes.
I'm a keynote speaker, super fancy.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Well, yeah, that's really cool.
That is really cool.
And I guess we should say you won't have any cat licking videos on your Instagram.
Well, I do. So I'm on my story right now. I cannot lie. I can appreciate a good one, but you don't want to be watching them for hours.
Okay,
It's like intuitive eating, but for social media, it's intuitive Instagram. It's okay to have a cat video, right?
Exactly. You
But
want
just
a
don't have-
little bit of fun food,
Right.
a little bit of brain candy with some cats.
Yeah.
But and you also want to balance it out with some other good
Don't
stuff.
deny yourself the cat video, or
Exactly.
then you've villainized it and you can't stop it. So, well, thank you so much.
Instructors in the news.
Jess Simms has been MIA for a little bit now, and people might have been wondering where she is, and she finally gave us some information.
Yeah, and to be clear, she had announced this last week before one of her boot camp classes, but it was in the pre-show, so a lot of people missed it. But she said that she had announced at that time that she was in the process of freezing her eggs, and she's fine. The process went fine, but it does take a few days of recovery, so she is doing that as well. And she said she might take a few more days. She doesn't know yet.
Awesome.
So congrats to Jess.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a cool step.
For sure. Good for her.
Yeah, absolutely.
Last week, Leanne Hainsby was on the Today Show.
Yes, she was. She was discussing her breast cancer diagnosis. And then she also did an essay that she posted on the Today Show website. But wanted to follow up on this because, one, there was a really strong reaction to this video. She was very, very forthcoming, very transparent, and everyone found it incredibly inspiring. But also her main message, and I feel like it needs to be amplified in any way that we can, is trust your gut.
Yeah.
Because her first doctor told her that even though she had a lump, it was no big deal. Don't worry about it. And
What?
Yeah. And she insisted on getting a second opinion. And that doctor allowed her to get a scan. And boy, wouldn't the world be different if she had not pushed for that.
For sure. And I wonder how that works over there, because it's socialized medicine. So like if it's a government thing, and I'm not even trying to get political, but like here, if you want a second opinion, it's, I would think, relatively easy to go find another doctor and get one. I don't know how it works under a system like that.
I don't either. I'm not clear how that does work, but that is a great question. And, you know, we have a lot of people from the UK that listen. So if there's somebody that wants to fill us in on that, we would love to hear the details. But anyway, I think that it's important to pass it on for people to hear. Like,
For sure.
Like when you feel like something's just not right, just listen.
And that's really scary too, because beyond it maybe not being the best advice, I mean, clearly based on results, it was not the best advice, but like, it's really easy for someone in that position. I could see you absolutely doing this, of not wanting to go to another doctor. And so you just go, well, you know, doctor says cool, so like whatever, I'm going to roll with it.
Absolutely.
And because you hate to go to the doctor, as a lot of people do. And I mean, I don't think anybody loves it, but
Well, no, but also if somebody tells you nothing's wrong, like it's all in your head, and like We are trained from children to believe whatever certain people tell us in their positions of power. And,
sure.
Doctors are so smart. They know everything. And
Yeah.
so if they tell you everything's fine, why would you not believe everything's fine?
And they're telling you what you want to hear. So it's
Yeah.
even easier to believe when they're telling you what you want to hear, which is everything's fine.
Yeah.
So it would have been so easy for her to just walk away and be like, well, guess I'm good, until things got out of hand.
Yeah.
And a lot harder to fix.
Yeah. I mean, it's really scary how very differently this could have gone.
Absolutely. Emma Lovewell's book is close to coming out, and she has a special event on Tuesday, May 2nd, a virtual book event that will be moderated by Phoebe Robinson.
So remind me who Phoebe Robinson is. Do you know?
I have no idea.
Okay. Well, this is going to be, like you said, on Tuesday, May 2nd at 7 p.m. Eastern. And I am curious to hear how this goes, because whatever you hear moderated, there's going to be lots of questions coming in. So
One would think.
I'm curious to hear what kind of questions there are and how
for sure.
she answers them.
And while we're on the topic of Emma, she also will be in Park West in Chicago, Illinois, on May 17th as part of her book tour.
Yeah, and she's going to be discussing it, but also she is going to be, there's going to be a pre-signed book that comes with your ticket. So if you get a ticket to this event, you also get a book that is signed by Emma. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Robin Arzon was inducted into her high school alma mater.
Alma mater. Where did that come from?
I don't know. The high school she went to. Their Hall of Fame.
I didn't even know high schools had a Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Well,
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Like, shows you how much attention I was paying in high school. I was like, get me the F out of here.
It also shows you didn't make the cut.
Yeah, clearly.
My high school was
Yeah.
out of business. So I mean, I wouldn't have made the cut.
I was like,
but,
so maybe you made the cut. You'll just never know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm pretty safe that I would not have. But they remember that permanent record thing. This is where it comes into play.
Yeah.
Right? Your
Yeah.
permanent record, they look at it and they go, no Hall of Fame for you.
See, my high school, if you weren't a football player, they didn't care.
Yeah. See, I went to a Catholic school, so it was soccer.
Oh, yeah. They had never even heard of soccer and back in the day.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I don't know if they did or not. They certainly didn't play it.
Yeah. Like in our school, we were so bad at football, our homecoming game was a soccer game.
What?
Because they wanted to be able to win their
homecoming game.
Because the football team, our football team was so bad. I feel like I'm on Johnny Carson.
Yeah, you
our
sound
football
like
team was so bad. They actually asked me to join it.
Oh, dear God.
Yes.
Yeah. Our football team was so good that we beat everybody. We were the state champions for
because you
years.
grew up in Jeff City,
Yeah.
and it's the middle of the state, so that stuff is super important there. And the school district feeds for like a 200 mile radius.
Yeah, it's very rural.
And so it's like they scoop up so many kids and they won't break it up into different school districts, even though it should be.
In fact, it was just 2 years ago, they finally built a second high school because they had no choice. And it was a lot of arguments over where those lines were. They kind of look like this.
Yeah, it looks like a gerrymandered district.
That's exactly what it looks like.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, but they have two football teams now?
I don't even know.
Gotcha.
I have no idea.
All I can think of is the last two seasons of Friday Night Lights.
That's exactly what I was thinking of.
It's so stupid that they draw the line so weird because it's temporary, right? You're just doing it to get a certain kid, and then in 2 years that kid's going to be gone, and now you got these weird lines. Like what? It means it's so short-sighted when they do that, but.
It made for good drama on Friday Night Lights, though.
It did, which is a great TV show if you haven't watched it.
It is. Yeah. In the meantime, congrats to Robin.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Because this was actually about her.
This is her thing. She's in their high school Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
For whatever high school she went to.
Yeah.
Oh,
there
Abington Senior High.
Yeah. She graduated in 99. Congrats to her. Very
June
cool.
14th. That seems so late.
The East Coast, man.
Yeah.
The East Coast, they are
'cause of
all
the time
mid-June.
difference?
In all seriousness, it always cracks me up because like when Jen Sherman does like Yacht Rock or whatever, and they talk about the summer, it always starts like by the time we're wrapping up summer here, and they're
Right.
like the summer's starting, and I'm like, what? We've been on 3 vacations. I'm ready to send these kids back. I don't even know what you're talking about anymore.
Yeah. Brian's last day of school is what, like
May 12th.
May 12th.
Yeah.
And he's a senior, so they kick him on a little early, but his graduation's on May 19th.
Yeah.
And it's like, and hers was on June 14th.
Yep.
That's crazy. It's because it's, our school years are all based around farming.
Yeah. It's a little different here.
It's a lot different. Kindle Tool was featured in Swagger magazine, which is Robin Arzon's publication.
Shockingly. Yeah. No, what's funny is whenever I saw this, I was confused because I was like, I saw Swagger, I thought Robin, and I was like, but this says Kendall.
Yeah.
What? Like, I was so confused.
So conflicted.
Yeah. It was a huge feature on Kendall and how awesome she is and how she's just so amazing and everyone loves her. So, and of course that's true. But this is like several pages long. It
looks like it's a big
spread.
one. Yeah. Looks like if this was like a physical magazine, this would be the cover.
I would agree. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, congrats to her.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anna Greenberg took to the gram to show off her house or the progress on their house as they're remodeling it.
Yeah. She said that it's still a work in progress, but they were very close. And I mean, wow, some of these pictures, I'm like, where the hell is this house? Because I know they have to live close to the studio.
Right.
And I'm like, I didn't even know they had houses this big in New York. These rooms are ginormous.
It's so weird when you drill down in New York and you find out that there are actually houses there.
Right?
As someone from the Midwest, it's like New York is just, it's all apartment buildings.
Right. It's all Manhattan to us.
It's either Manhattan or tenements.
Right.
There's no middle ground. I'm like, there's a place where they have houses? What?
And they have giant rooms.
Yeah.
Like giant.
Okay.
So.
but I would guess you have to be doing okay for yourself.
I would think that is true, yeah.
Coming up after this, we're going to talk to Angelo from MetPro. Everybody always wants to know when you're putting in the effort to get in shape, what's going to get you the most bang for your buck, right? You don't want to waste any second. You want to get to the finish line as quickly as possible. Well, Angelo has all sorts of tips on what you can do to maximize your gains. So stick around. Joining us today via the magic of ZoomTube is Angelo from MetPro. I normally say here to answer your fitness and nutrition questions, but this week, screw you. We're not doing your questions.
Such a gentleman.
He is, right?
We have our own thing.
We do. Yeah, we do. Because I've heard Angelo talk about this thing called, and this is a mouthful, Statistical Behavioral Modification Hierarchy. What the heck does that mean? That's my question.
Can you translate that into people?
Yeah, let's do that.
That's a mouthful, huh?
Yes.
Okay. So it's really a very nerdy way of saying, I want to get in shape. What's the most important thing I should be doing? And if I'm already doing that, what's the second most important thing?
Okay.
And so we actually have a list, an entire list that is not just whimsical. It's actually built off of a statistical analysis of, okay, because Crystal, as you know, we're evaluating clients in real time each day. With MetPro, of course, we have an extra layer of analysis data, sets that we're able to really extract great quality data from. And so what we've been able to do is really put together a hierarchy. And I guarantee the first one on this list, even though I've talked about it with you guys several times in previous episodes, it'll still surprise you, but
hang on, let me guess. The first thing on the list, number one on the list.
It depends.
It depends.
It depends. Yes, it does depend. It's true. It does depend. That's my catchphrase. Yeah. But if we had to pick one specific marker, in other words, I'm looking at somebody's adherence scores. And it's very easy with MetPro. It makes it super easy for somebody to record what they've done without having to spend 10 minutes translating. They just literally click a button and I can see, okay, which of the meals did they get on their meal plan? Which of the meals did they miss? If they did have junk food, okay, what category is it in? And based on what their meal plan assignment looks like, they're given a statistical analysis of how close we're getting to that meal plan, if we're way off or if we're pretty close. The number one biggest predictor of success, mid-afternoon snack.
Really?
Mid-afternoon snack, yep. So, and we've talked about that a lot because if somebody is consistently getting their mid-afternoon snack, it's a little bit gaming the system, but it's usually a good indicator that multiple other things are falling into place also. So, everybody used to say breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Well, based on the data, it's actually an afternoon snack that's the most important meal of the day. So here's why that is, and we've talked about this before. If you have a mid-afternoon snack consistently, it means you're doing some level of advanced preparation. That's really what it gets down to. And the person who's doing some level of advanced preparation usually is already also eating a consistent breakfast.
So it's not the snack itself that's a magic bullet. It's a canary in a coal mine.
That's true. It is. But also remember, most people between breakfast and lunch, they only go about 4 hours. But between lunch and dinner, that is where we run into all kinds of problems. We get busy, we're hectic, we have lunch at noon, and then we often don't eat till 7:30, 8:30 at night sometimes. So in that amount of time, blood sugar gets destabilized. We run into all kinds of problems that set you up for, issues with eating the right things in the evening, cravings, et cetera, et cetera. So if you can do one thing, start with a mid-afternoon snack.
Okay.
Prepare something healthy. The second thing is breakfast.
Okay.
Our clients that are checking off breakfast, they're ones that are progressive. The third thing, exercise regularity.
Regularity. Now, interesting.
That's the key. Not intensity. It's just, you got to bench over 250 pounds. You got to do lunge. No, it's not even considering what exercise they're doing. It's frequency. Frequency first.
It's funny because when you said, what do you think the number one thing is to do? The first thing I thought was something.
Yes.
Do something.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Do something. Because so often, and this happens to guys more often, my weekend warriors, we remember the warrior days and we're playing high school ball or college ball.
Don't remember any of that. None of that.
Well, the other guys do. This one's not for you, Tom.
High school Dungeons and Dragons. I remember.
You might have gotten some cardio in. You might have gotten some cardio and you laughed or something.
When we would make our Little Caesars run, I might remember that. Does that count as cardio?
No.
What if I have it as a mid-afternoon snack?
Don't eat your Dungeons and Dragons. Not.
I meant the Little Caesars.
Oh, the Little Caesars.
Yeah.
Bob legit kills me every time.
I know. It's a gift.
You can't eat the tools of Dungeons and Dragons. You'll choke. That's why they're called die.
Man. So here's the scenario. You have the weekend warrior guy, and he goes to the gym, and he's got that work ethic, and he does this knockdown, drag out, brawl workout where he kills it. But then he doesn't go back for 6 weeks. It doesn't help anything. Start smaller. Live below your means. Why? Because the most important thing is the habit. Once you're exercising consistently, I'm going to say really the magic number is 3 times a week really starts making a difference. But work towards daily, 5-6 days a week, small amounts of exercise. Once you have that in place, then layer on, okay, let's bump up the intensity. Let's get more specific in the activity. it's establishing the habit first is what we're finding, because that's based on a statistical analysis of individuals that are the most progressive. And what we've learned is that somebody who is consistently exercising greater than 2 days a week, independent of intensity, is on average losing 34% more weight.
Wow.
So there is something to that. There is something to that. After that, the next item on the list is accountability. So of course, that's what at MetPro, it's what we do, but you can have accountability at home, simply with a friend, a spouse, a neighbor. Talk about it. If you're on a diet and you don't tell anyone you're on a diet, your odds, or if you're on an exercise routine, I shouldn't say on a diet, if you're eating healthy,
if you've made a lifestyle change,
you've made a life. Yes, there it is, Tom. Talk about it. Verbally admit to it. And what it's going to do is it's going to help solidify in your mind, as it's going to be a focus, because you're not going to want to go back on that. So accountability.
I'm just laughing because I'm the one who spent a year doing tonal before I told anybody.
You told me.
I told you.
But you're the opposite of most people.
Yes.
Like if I had said, Tom, did you work out today? He would have stopped working out all the time forever. But because I did nothing and I said nothing and he had decided to do it, he could do it. But that's not most people.
Yeah.
That is not most people.
And you had the motivation of a reveal. You're not going to believe this, but
that wasn't my motivation, honestly.
But I still know what you're saying, and that's crazy.
I'm not the canary in the coal mine. I'm more like the Labrador retriever in the coal mine.
I don't even fully understand that.
Well, yeah, because you're just like, what is he doing here?
all I can think of is Doug from Up.
Yeah. Yes. Squirrel.
Don't make me get the cone of shame, Tom. Wow, it's amazing how wide we just can we can digress to just
It's my superpower.
It is.
All right, there's only a few things left on the list.
Okay.
After accountability, then planned lunches. In other words, people that are checking off consistently lunches, that's kind of that next level of, okay, I'm in it. That means typically there's some preparation or planning involved, thinking ahead about lunches. After that, sleep hygiene. Now, you could absolutely make an argument that you could put that in number one place, because if you're not getting enough sleep, nothing works. It's just that one's a little bit harder to quantify. It's a little more ambiguous.
Yeah.
We can tell when somebody is having severe sleep problems, everything comes to a screeching halt. But basically what we can say is you're going to progress to a point, and if you don't address it and it's an ongoing problem, you're only going to progress so far. So we put that one on the list right before the next one, which is back to exercise optimization. Now's where, okay, I'm having some consistency in my meals. I am already exercising regularly. Now we're going to focus on the best use of my exercise time and adding some intensity. And then finally, after that, this is people that are fully committed to a structured plan, planned dinners, which is by far the hardest meal to have planned, and planned cheat meals. So in other words, that's where I'm following a routine and I can tell you when my next event or day or time to, have cheesecake is going to be, and I'm not going to eat cheesecake between now and then.
I love that.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's super helpful. Okay, so start with that mid-afternoon snack, work backwards. Get the exercise in, get something. Just do something.
Yep.
And those are good kind of things to fall back on if you feel like you're starting to struggle. Like, which one of these have I maybe fallen away on?
Yeah.
Here's the quick recap for if somebody wants to jot them down. 1, mid-afternoon snack. 2, breakfast. 3, exercise consistency. Do something simple, do something quick, consistency. 4, accountability. 5, planned lunches. 6, sleep hygiene. 7, training optimization. And then 8 is where you're structured with planned dinners and cheat meals.
Excellent.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for all that. And if people want stuff like that tailored for their fitness journey, where can they find you?
They can find us at metpro.co/TCO.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Checking out the competition.
Bloomberg.com this week reported that Lululemon is exploring the sale of mirror, which really shows you, if you really stick to it, eventually you will sell one of these things. So congratulations to Lululemon. We knew you could do it. So we look forward to your second sale of a mirror. That's what this is about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they bought this in 2020,
Yeah.
and I think they had big plans. I think
Everybody had big plans in 2020 if you were in connected fitness.
Yeah, it was a different time.
If you were connected fitness or Moderna, you had big plans in 2020.
Yeah, and so they felt like it was going to take off, and they were going to be able to like put their instructors in Lululemon gear and sell it, and it was going to be like a really good win-win. Plus,
vertical integration.
Yeah,
Right?
and they would be in the connected fitness world, which
Right.
how could that be a bad thing? In 2020, it just seemed like a no-brainer.
Right.
But we always had questions.
Right. See, what they didn't factor in was that they bought mirror.
And it was a TV that you just hang on your wall.
Sideways TV with Sweating of the Oldies on it.
But I will say, people who have these now, they love them, and they say that the content is great. It had, I don't know if it still does. It had live content, and people really enjoyed it, and they enjoyed getting shout outs and things, all the stuff that you got on Peloton, but you just did different workouts. So, however, we've been noticing there has been a huge, they've been basically giving these things away.
Like we talked about this, I think, a few weeks ago, just how drastically the prices have dropped on these things. We were just like, are they getting out of the mirror business and they just want to get them out of their storerooms, or what's going on here? And so I guess this is what's going on here, is they want to wring every nickel out of it they can. But you would think that's going to make it harder to sell, right? Like if you drive the price down, then you're driving the perceived value down, and then somebody buys the company and says, okay, they're $1,000 again, like, or $1,500 or whatever they were, like, because we've seen them as low as like $600.
Yeah, I was thinking 900, but somewhere in that range.
I mean, we saw some it dropped and then it dropped again.
That's true.
And
I don't trust my memory these days.
sure.
Like, so if you say 600, I believe you.
For some reason, 695 sticks in my head, but it was jaw dropping to where it's like, if it wasn't for the monthly fee that comes attached to it, I could see people buying at that price point, because like, why not? Mm-hmm. It's like the price of 2 guides.
It is, yeah. I mean, yeah. I think that this is smart for Lululemon to get rid of it. I don't know. I cannot imagine who's going to buy it.
Yes.
And what are they going to do with it? Like, are they going to... My question is, who are the people that are looking to buy it? Because I can't believe that they could put any content on it that would make any difference. And what I mean by that is like to make it substantial enough to change up the pace, like where it's headed. That's what I mean by
agreed.
that.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine, like, to me, the only point in buying this thing would be to get it out of the market. Like if you're a competitor, you just buy it just to make it go away. So it's one less thing you got to worry about.
Yeah, but I also don't think that, one, it's that big of a threat to anybody.
Not anymore.
2, I don't know that it's anything that you could really prevent from, because I mean, Echelon's got a version of it, right? The
They
Reflect.
do. Yeah.
But also it's like, at the end of the day, like we would keep going back to, it's a TV hung sideways. Like it doesn't seem like that's really groundbreaking technology that's hard to replicate. If somebody bought Tonal to make it go away, which we have no reason to think, that this is just pure analogy, but if somebody bought Tonal to make it go away, Tonal's a very unique product that you can't just easily replicate. If one, because it's high tech and it's difficult. 2, there are patents you would probably be infringing upon. But on this, it's just a glorified streaming device. Like I don't know. Like if somebody wanted to recreate it, it would not be difficult.
I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. I just don't see the point in anybody buying this. I don't know what's going to happen. And I feel bad because the people who invested in this, like they bought one, you know,
Right.
like they could end up with a brick. Like people have said to me, do you think that tonal is going to end up a brick on your wall? No, I don't. Mirror? I am not confident.
Yeah.
Like I'm not saying that will happen. Not what I'm saying. But I do not have the confidence level that I do for Peloton or tonal for the mirror.
And I will say that could be a problem for the industry as a whole, that, you know, people will remember that one of these companies went out of business and left
And then
everybody.
they'll get it confused.
Right. And then that will slow people down in terms of buying the next thing.
Absolutely. People still say to me today, like, oh, did you get one of those mirrors? No, it's a tonal. It's
Yeah.
not a mirror. They're completely different.
Yes. Very much so.
But, you know, to the people who aren't like totally up to their neck in it like we are, they
Right.
don't necessarily know that. So, yeah. Well, we will keep our eye on it and keep you updated as this continues to develop.
And speaking of products you forgot existed, SoulCycle. What?
I mean, for real, I did forget they existed.
SoulCycle. We had two listeners reach out.
We did.
With us about this one.
Yeah. Sam Jones and
I loved him in Flash Gordon.
and then another member who only wanted to go by their leaderboard name, Aaron. They both got emails this week after 6 years. Like they took a class, maybe 2, 6 years ago. And then boom, all of a sudden getting this email.
They got the sup.
Yeah, they did.
Hey, you up?
We've missed you. Come back to SoulCycle. Now, they are doing a 30-day challenge. So my guess is this went out to like everybody in their database. But it's just interesting that they're
casting the net that wide.
It
That
is.
they're going back 6 years for people who haven't interacted with their brand in 6 years.
That's a lot of digging.
That's a lot of digging. For sure.
We'll keep our eye on what's going on with SoulCycle too.
Yes.
Past guest update.
The Boston Marathon was this week.
Monday,
and past guest CJ Albertson once again had a very good showing.
He did. He finished 12th this year. Last year, he finished 13th. He was the 4th American overall. And we are incredibly proud of him. And he's so funny. He was like, yeah, I went out too hard again. I know I shouldn't have. But damn, I felt good doing it. And he's like so not apologetic.
Yeah.
He said that he ran his fastest that he had run in a long time. And it felt really good. He felt like himself out there.
Yeah.
And I love that he is that self-aware to know how he feels. And he's still like, I mean, how do you even like compare at this point other than like by tenths of a second of how amazing you are? Because all of these people are amazing elite athletes. They're all amazing.
Yeah, his time was 2 minutes.
2 hours.
2 hours. Yeah, 2 minutes would be.
Whoa.
Yeah, he'd be starring in the new Flash movie. 2 hours, 10 minutes, and 33 seconds.
Yeah, he was hoping to break the 30-second. Like he was hoping to come in just under 2:10. But he didn't quite get there.
Gotcha.
2:10:30, I think, was his mark.
Yeah. And it says he did the first half at 62:20.
Yeah.
That's
it's like
crazy.
13 miles in an hour. You know,
Yeah.
no big.
And then he was on, these are just some pictures from the Boston Marathon. And there's him. And he came in, 4th among Americans?
Yes, 4th American overall.
Yeah. And then he was also on another I can't tell if there's a podcast or an Instagram Live because it's on Instagram, but talking about his training. And that it says he does, in a week when he's training, 178 miles in a week.
I mean, what? That is longer than the distance it is to get from here to Jeff City. Like, you know?
Yeah.
Jeez Louise. 3 hours at 60 miles an hour. That's insane. In a car.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does that. There was another great picture of him training this week, and he had he said if you want to have that great downstep picture, which is like whenever you're running and you like have your left foot hit the ground or your right foot hit the ground, and they snap a photo of just that moment, and every single one of the muscles in his legs was completely lit up. And he said if you want a great downstep photo, don't skip leg day. I thought you would appreciate that because you never skip leg day.
I don't skip it. I hate it, but I do it because I'm just like because I always do the programs, and I always feel weird if I like just skip a whole day. I just can't bring myself to do it, so I just bite my tongue and power through.
I mean, that's what you got to do.
But I have great legs.
You do have great legs. But congratulations to CJ Albertson and all of the Boston runners.
Yeah. Also, we had another past guest that was in the Boston Marathon.
We sure did. Do you remember Erica McClean? She was our tarot card reader.
Lady,
yeah.
So she already knew she was going to do one.
And she knew she was going to rock it.
Yeah.
And she did. She raised a lot of money for the organization she had been raising money for. And we are so proud of her. We were cheering her on, and she did an amazing job. So congrats to Erica.
See, that's why I couldn't be a tarot card reader, because I'd be like, okay, cards say that I'm going to do great, so
might as well just sit back and do nothing.
no real reason to do it now. We already know the outcome.
Exactly.
And it was not the Boston Marathon, but past guest Carrie Sokol ran running. Sorry, I thought it was
no, it's this week.
Is running in the London Marathon.
She sure is. She takes off on a plane on Thursday, I believe, and then so by the time you're hearing this, she'll be in London, and then I think it's over the weekend. So it sounds like maybe she's on her journey to do all the world majors, as if she hasn't done enough.
I know. Well, good luck to her.
Good luck to Carrie. We love you, and it's been quite a month for her, so we have been thinking about her.
Peloton celebrity sightings.
I came upon this on the Twitter machine. Jimmy Barnes, and now he is a big deal in Australia. He's a singer from down yonder, or the opposite of up yonder. And he, I guess, had a hip operation. It's been 18 weeks, and that he is recuperating by using his Peloton. So apparently he's a big Peloton user.
That's awesome.
But he's a very famous singer down there, and he's written a couple books that are very popular. And yeah, he's a big deal. He did a duet, I guess, in the 80s in Australia with Tina Turner of Simply the Best. Like down there, it's a duet between the two of them.
Really?
Yeah. But so
that's so cool.
Yeah. And he's got a great voice. Like, and he doesn't like, I'm not trying to be shitty, but like, you look at him, he just looks kind of like a regular old guy, right? Like, I mean, he's probably, I'm guessing, early to mid 60s, and like when you hear him sing, whoo,
see, he surprises you.
Yes, he's really good.
Wow.
Like, I mean, he's super famous down there. So anyway, just another celebrity sighting that, like I said, that means something probably more for our Australian listeners, but it's out there.
That's awesome.
In case you missed it.
Peloton has released their Mother's Day collection
in the U.S. Mother's Day collection,
right? Because they did so are these? Is it the same?
No.
Oh.
Well, it's kind of the same-ish.
Okay.
It said Peloton Mum in the UK. It says Peloton Mom in the US. And it seemed to me that they had only like the bright pink, like the bubblegum pink leggings, bra, and the gray tank top in the UK. Mm-hmm. And it seems to me also that the US got a floral set as well as a set of scrunchies that I don't believe the scrunchies might have been over on the UK. I didn't spend a lot of time digging around.
I think over there they call them crinklies.
They might.
I don't know.
They just might.
They got a different word for everything.
I love how they're like, oh, I need some dinner for the takeaway. I'm going to have some takeaway for my dinner. It kills me. It was actually, just a little shout out to the UK. One of our UK listeners that got me this sweatshirt. Oh. So I got to give props to a special person out there. You know who you are. Thank you very much.
And also we have new levels of lane break for people.
We do, yeah. And this actually dropped like a week ago. But
that's what the segment's called, in case you missed it.
I know. And I did miss it because I have not been lane breaking lately. But
I'll have to get a new sweeper made. Hang on, here we go. in case Crystal missed it.
And this one is spinning session 7. There was a 30-minute level featuring a bunch of people that I honestly have no idea who they are. But they also have a 15-minute club classics featuring a few people that I recognize. Okay, one.
I was like, one? Tori Amos.
Tori
Yeah.
Amos. That's who I know.
I recognize none of these other names.
Yeah, and I would never put Tori in a club mix.
know.
So it's got to be a remix. It's
One would
got to be.
think, yeah.
Because, otherwise I don't get it.
Well, you can take that class and find out and report back to us.
I can. I almost took a lane break today. I said, hey, Siri, flip a coin for me. And I named the rower heads and the lane break tails. And it came up with heads. So I had to do a row.
There you go.
What you gonna do?
You're going to row. You mean you just told us that? We know exactly what you're going to do. There was absolutely no suspense in that question.
I'll reframe.
Of any
Next
kind.
time I will reframe. Okay.
And coming up after this, we're going to talk to Kenlyn Foster, the Honorable Kenlyn Foster. She's a judge, so hopefully I can get out of this without being incarcerated.
We'll see.
Fingers crossed.
Checking in with the Peloton community.
Joining us today via the magic of ZoomTube is Kenlyn Foster. Hey, how's it going?
Hi.
Going well. Hi. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for being here.
I'm very nervous. I should say the Honorable Kenlyn Foster, right?
Is this the
Well,
first time
in
we've
my
had...
day job, I'm honorable, right?
Fair enough.
Nice.
Like even more now.
Yeah.
I feel like this is the first time we've had a judge on the clip out, though.
I think so.
I think it is that we
Yeah.
know
Okay.
of. Maybe they didn't tell us.
I guess somebody
you know?
didn't.
That's
Yeah, they hid it.
Yeah.
Do you ever hide it from
Uh-huh.
people where you're like,
Yes.
this person doesn't need to know
Do
I'm a
you?
judge?
yes.
Do you?
Yes. So because I'm a former prosecutor and I still do some adult stuff too. I still preside over criminal cases for adults too. So restaurants. Going out, you see people and you just put your head down because you don't want them spitting in your food.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oof. That sounds rough. Okay.
And then people in the community will see me and they'll say, oh, I had this case in front of you, and I'm really mad at you because you gave so-and-so custody. And so you just keep your head down.
Gosh,
Yeah,
I
I
can't
bet.
imagine. I can't imagine because, well, first of all, we've never seen our judge out in public. I don't even.
Although honestly, I
I
don't
don't
even
know
know
that
if,
I'd recognize
if I would
him.
recognize him or her. 'Cause
In Missouri, you don't go up in front of the judge unless it gets to a trial, like a real trial.
Okay.
And so a lot of times it doesn't get to that. It's the lawyers back in the back arguing with the judge, like on your behalf. And it has to be like everybody refuses to settle.
yeah, if you're in front of a judge, it's because one or both of you are just being a complete D-bag.
Yeah.
And not just.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so it's like
Gotcha.
it's very rare to actually talk to a judge.
Yeah, maybe that's why they do it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just something for your state to think about.
Absolutely. I'd like that. I'd like that. Not have to deal with people.
Yeah. Just like, I don't know if Missouri is the state people should be aspiring to behave like.
Probably
but-
not. She's like,
I live in Tennessee.
okay. You have a certain set of issues there
It's
as
a jump
well.
ball.
We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. Absolutely a jump ball.
All right. So, transitioning to
Before we
Peloton.
get you on the news,
Right.
let's.
Maybe.
So, how did you find Peloton originally and decide?
Originally, I found Peloton was I didn't know anything about Peloton, but I was on the bench. I had just been elected and I was sitting all the time. I'm a former prosecutor, an assistant DA. And so I was up and moving and now I'm sitting. And so I bought a little under the desk cycle thing just so I could sit at the bench and move my legs. And somebody from IT came down to install something and said, oh my gosh, do you ride? And I said, no, I don't ride. The only time I rode outside on a road bike, I fell off and broke my wrist. So I don't do that. But he said, oh, well, have you heard of Peloton? And I said, no, I don't know anything about that. So he proceeded to tell me all about Peloton.
That's what we
And then
do.
I happened to be out in Denver and I was visiting, my son was in college there, and I found the Peloton store and I went in and I got on one. And I said, kids, what do you think? Should I get this for my husband, for dad for Christmas? And they looked at me and said, you mean for you? And I said, yes, I am. Don't you think he'd like it? Because he does cycle outside. And they said, yeah, whatever. So I ordered it from the store in Denver and had it delivered here. I got it in November of 2018.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that. First of all, we've been to that store.
I was like, we were at that store.
Yes.
I was actually doing the math. I'm like, when were we in Denver?
I know,
Were we in
wasn't
the
it-
store? It was
We're-
17.
Okay, 17.
Yeah.
We were there not
Yeah,
too
we were
long.
there in 2018.
Wow, not too long before you.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
And I love that you ordered it from the store in another city, because
Yes.
so often people, if they buy it, they'll buy it from their like hometown, especially when there are so many stores out there. And so they'll get it there. They like, it's been a while since we've talked to somebody that either bought it sight unseen or, got it from somewhere else and had it shipped there. So I think that's really
Yes.
cool. Yeah. And does your
Yeah.
husband use it? Does he actually ride?
No, not at all.
Okay.
But I think he's been on it maybe 10 times in 4 or 5 years.
So the kids were right.
The kids were absolutely right.
Okay,
They were
okay.
absolutely right.
So did you have them installed on your bench? So you're trying cases from your Peloton?
So I would love to do that. I'm not sure that would fly with the judiciary, but dreams, right? Hashtag goals. So I've wanted to have a Peloton at work for years, and I couldn't quite figure out. My chambers are really small, and I couldn't figure out where I was going to put it. So we have what's called a temporary holding resource. We have juvenile detention for kids who are in detention, who are delinquent, kids who commit crimes. So that's where those kids go waiting court hearing. And it's usually the bad kids, like not like your shoplifting from Claire's kids, but your people who do really, really
Like
bad
there's
stuff.
violence
And then,
yeah.
they're violent.
Yeah.
So then we have this temporary holding resource, which is a shelter care for children that are runaway, they're unruly. And it's just a temporary, it's not a secure facility, although it looks like a secure facility, but it's not locked. They could walk out the door. We don't tell them that, but they could walk out the door. And it's been decertified by our Department of Children's Services for several years. It's been sitting vacant and unused. And I talked to the sheriff and I said, Sheriff, you've got this space. And we have a park right outside the courthouse. And I thought, if I could walk at lunch or run at lunch or something, could I use your shower that's in there? And he said, sure. And I said, well, you've got this big day room that's open and empty. And if I were to go in there and stretch afterwards, would that be okay? He said, yeah. And I said, I like to practice yoga and I teach yoga. And so if I could do that in there, would that be okay? And he said, yeah. And I said, would you be okay if I brought in some equipment, just a few things? And he said, no problem. You can do whatever you want to with that space.
You're like,
And
just
so I
some
did.
equipment. I'm thinking like a couple dumbbells, yoga mat,
and a jump rope.
Peloton. Yeah.
Yeah. So then I've reiterated this to everybody. No county funds were expended on this project and no county hours were expended. I did everything after hours or on the weekends, but we painted the space. I had commercial flooring put in. I got a commercial Peloton, so all my staff can use it, so they can all log in and use it, which is awesome. And I got a light commercial treadmill and a half rack of weights and a TRX multi-mount and a couple of Pro TRX suspension straps. And I got my yoga mats and I've taught yoga in there. And I've had an epic Peloton competition with one of my coworkers. So we had the Peloton for 5 or 6 weeks now. And we had a month-long Peloton competition that ended at midnight yesterday.
Okay. I'm dying to know, because this is anybody that listens to the MetPro method out there. This is where this conversation started. So I need to know who won, Kenlyn.
My gosh. So Magistrate Judge Bedingfield beat me at the last minute. Well, not really last minute, last few hours. And so he beat me by 54 miles. He rode 560 miles and I rode 505 in 1 month.
Wow.
Is that not insane?
That is insane. Yeah.
And I had a knee procedure February 1. So I did all this in a knee brace. Like, am I not? I'm crazy.
Oh my goodness.
You
This
should
is
get bonus
crazy.
miles
You
for that.
should get bonus
I know.
miles.
I should get bonus. And the bike, the commercial Peloton is it's an easier bike.
I
Like
was
my
gonna
bike at
ask,
home
like-
right here is a harder bike.
I believe that.
I was going to ask,
And
like,
he
what
does
is the
not-
difference between like a commercial Peloton and a private or personal one?
So it's harder when you have one that's private. That's the difference. No, really, it's rare. It's a harder bike. But no, it's like the one they have in the hotels, Tom. If you've ever ventured down to just look. I know you don't get on them, but if you just ever look.
No.
No.
Okay. So it's got a login screen that you can log into your account, and the subscription, I pay for the subscription. It's a commercial subscription, so it's an unlimited amount of users can get on it. And after, you get on, you do your classes, and then after so many minutes, it logs you out automatically.
Okay.
So that you're not sharing your data or your rides with anybody else.
So just out of curiosity, what's that subscription cost? I'm
Oh,
just
that's
curious.
a good question.
It's $1,400 a year.
Okay, so it's like $104 a month or something.
Thank you.
Like
I
that.
couldn't do that math if my
Yeah.
life depended on it.
Thank you, because I don't do numbers.
I just did. If it was
I'm a lawyer.
$1,200, that would be $100 a
Yeah.
month, and so
Okay, that's fair.
and I took the remainder.
But I have a staff of 8.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm going to invite the sheriff's office to use it too.
Oh,
So,
that's
I mean,
lovely.
I'm opening it up to a bunch of people. So, because I believe in health and fitness, and I think it's really important that we take care of our bodies so we can take care of our community.
Yeah.
So then, do you still have to have a subscription for your bike at home?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm. I have 2.
What?
I have 2.
That sounds
I
like
have the commercial
bullshit.
subscription, and I have the one for this one right here behind me.
It seems like she should be allowed to just log in with her other one when she's at home.
I have heard, and this is at the risk of Peloton yelling at me.
Yeah.
I have heard that that she could do a workaround around it, but it might be a bit of a pain because she would have to activate each bike each time.
Gotcha.
So she could log in. She could only have one subscription.
Okay.
For the
Right.
So
commercial
then, if she
bike.
tried to log in at home with the it might
It would
log somebody
deactivate-
else
precisely.
out.
Yes.
Precisely.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's the next question: when
Yes.
you bought the commercial one, did you give your own referral code?
I didn't even think about that.
Oh my God! You should have. No.
Holy smokes. I could give that referral code out to everybody that I try to invite to join us in our Peloton adventure. I can't believe I didn't even think about that. Dang it.
I just ruined her day.
Yeah, you did. She sat back at everything.
Yeah. If we were in court, I would be getting sentenced right now.
You were in contempt.
You were in
Yes.
contempt. Doop, doop.
She's like, I sentence you to an FTP test.
I know. That's awful. That's like the worst.
I know. You're a hanging judge.
Oh my God.
Didn't even think about that.
Oh no, you've crushed her
think
I
spirit.
know. I feel
It's
bad
okay.
now.
It's okay. It's okay. Oh wow.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Well, moving on.
Okay, we got to
Moving
move on.
So as
Moving
a
on.
judge-
now that I'm crushed.
Yeah.
Crystal and I recently discovered a show that we went down the rabbit hole on
I told Kenlyn about this on the MetPro method.
called Court Cam,
And now I have discovered it too.
and it's on Hulu. It originally aired on A&E, but it's on Hulu for those of you that have Hulu. And
Are you obsessed?
Yes. Oh my gosh. I had to make myself put down my phone last night. I was watching it in bed. And I was
yeah.
like, I've got to get to sleep.
You
we
can't look
we
away.
limited ourselves to one a day.
We only did one a day.
One a day.
Okay.
Like that was
Okay.
but because it goes down real easy.
Real easy.
Yeah, but it's addictive. It's just footage from inside courtrooms of incidents
Crazy stuff
that have
happening.
happened.
Just- Yes.
and it's I like it better than Cops because I always felt like Cops was like they were putting on a show. Like they, you know what I mean? Like it felt a little constructed, and I'm like,
Right.
and then the older I got and the more I thought about it, I'm like, this feels a little problematic. Like you're really,
Incentivizing people.
yeah, and you're going into people's homes and catching them at their absolute worst. Where this is like just a court security footage. So I'm like, everybody knew what they were doing, and so I don't feel like it's as contrived. And it is pretty riveting.
It is.
It is awesome. And as a judge, to watch other judges and how they handle those situations.
Yeah.
Oh, I am
because I'm
so
like,
curious of your take on that. There's some mean
should
judges.
I want to start a podcast with you where we just watch
Yes.
court cam
Yes.
and you break
That
it
would be
down.
so fun.
And you're
That
like,
would be so
this
fun.
judge is insane.
Yeah.
And
yes. Or like this judge is going to get like reprimanded.
Yeah.
Yes.
Badly. Or there was one I watched last night where like she was so calm and I was like, man, there's no way I would have been that calm and cool and collected. She handled it so well.
It's probably that
And she
Mindy,
was-
that Judge
That's
Mindy
what I was
from
thinking
Florida.
it was too. We love Judge Mindy
She's our
from Florida.
favorite. She's so calm and nice. She
Yes,
seems
yes.
genuinely nice.
Yes.
And she
Yes,
seems like
yes,
she
very
really
nice.
cares about the people.
Yeah, she does.
Like
Yes.
cares, you know? Like,
Yes.
yeah, I bet it's Mindy you're talking
So-
about.
Probably so, and something to aspire to.
Hey,
Right.
all
Like,
of us
you
could
can tell some of them have been there so long, they just don't like anybody.
Yes.
They don't care.
And those are invariably old white guys. And But then there are some that have.
No comment.
Yeah, she's like, that was not me who said that. That's the loose cannon on the show. Yeah, I tried to sentence him to an FTP, but he lives in a different jurisdiction. Don't hold me responsible. But there were some, because that's Mindy. I think we're getting her name right. She's the one who, like, she's sentencing somebody, and she's like, wait, did we go to middle school together?
Yes.
Yeah. And they did.
Okay. Yeah. Absolutely. I love her. Like, that's like, if I ever had to be in front of a judge, I hope it's a judge like Mindy. That's what I thought. Not the guy who was like, and I hope you die in prison as well.
Well, that guy should die in prison, though. In his
I know,
defense.
but that guy was mean about it.
That seemed a little grandiose.
It did.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, sorry. We are totally obsessed with that show, though. Like,
no, and since you told me about it, so am I. So there you go. I had to. It was midnight last night. I'm like, I go to bed at 8:30. I'm like, it's midnight. I got to go to bed.
Why do you get up super early, even on the weekends?
I do. I woke up. So we had this epic Peloton competition. It went to midnight last night. So,
right.
Yeah, but I couldn't ride anymore. Like after 9 o'clock, I was just done.
Yeah.
So, but then I had to like wind down, and I still was going to sleep in, but I woke up at 4:30. Even though I turned off my alarm.
That's kind of the worst.
Yeah.
It is.
I think it sucks being an adult, because I feel like you spend your whole 20s wanting to sleep in. You got to do all these things. You got to work on the weekends a lot of times when you're in 20s. And then by the time you get to, the time where you can sleep in on the weekends, your body won't let you. It's just not cool. It's just not cool. So
I got up and went to hot yoga to try to stretch out all the aches and pains. And that was nice.
Okay.
That was nice.
Well, that's good. You've got quite a gym set up going on there behind you.
I do. So, and it may be a little echoey in here. That may be, I don't know if you all can hear me okay, because I feel like I'm echoing around. But this is my home gym. Okay. And I sent you pictures of my commercial. I've sent you pictures of the gym and the commercial Peloton. I just emailed that right before we started. But yeah, so I've got my Peloton, and it's not a Peloton tread, because I got my treadmill before I knew about Peloton, but a treadmill, and I've got an elliptical that nobody uses. I don't know why we have it. I keep wanting to get rid of it, but it's too heavy to carry out of the house, and some weights. And I'm a TRX coach too, so I've got a TRX mount that's on the ceiling you can't see, but
TRX
so I can do my.
Where do you find time for all that?
Yeah,
I get up at 4:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
Okay, right,
and go to bed at 4.
She said 8:30.
8:30. Yeah, I'm really lame. I have like no life outside of work and court and
exercise.
Gym.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's pretty badass, but that's just me. I think it's awesome.
Well, I go. When I'm awake, I go. 100%. 110%.
Clearly.
Yes.
I don't know. You might have to do some of that while you're sleeping. I'm pretty sure, just to get it all done. That's a lot.
Is being a judge something that you set out to do? Like, is that something people, when they're like going to college, like, I'm going to go to school, I'm going to get a law degree, and then my goal is to end up as a judge? Or is it something that just kind of unfolds as you go along your career path?
I can't speak for everybody else. For myself, so I went to college, and then I ended up working in politics, and I don't know why, because that's just not my personality. But I ended up there,
right?
And then I ended up going back to law school several years later. And when I graduated from law school, I knew I wanted to be a judge. That's what I wanted to do.
Oh, wow.
Now, getting to be a judge is a really difficult process, and not everybody gets to have that opportunity. So I had worked in private practice, and then I had an opportunity to go work for our local district attorney general. And it was a great opportunity. It was a huge pay cut, but I didn't care, because that was for me a stepping stone. And I loved that job. I absolutely loved being a prosecutor. There is a lot of great feeling to stand up and say, I represent the people of the state of Tennessee, and and we want this person to go to jail for his crime or her crime. And I was working in a court with a judge who decided he was going to retire, and he called me and asked me if I would consider running for his position. And I said no. Even though I wanted to be a judge eventually, I just didn't. I loved my job. I thought it was not maybe the right time.
Right. And
he wore me down over 2 weeks, and I finally decided to throw my hat in the ring. And it's a political process. Mm-hmm. In Tennessee, they're elected judges, and it's a partisan election. And so I was in it with 5 other people in a primary, and then I had a contested general election, which was insane, and for my family was probably horrible. But here I am, and I've been on the bench 8+ years, going into my 9th year now.
And then how often are you up for re-election?
Every 8 years.
Every
Isn't
8
that
years.
Awesome?
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Yeah, that is. So I've just started my 2nd term as a judge, and who knows? Who knows?
Do people
I'll
pay
continue.
attention to judicial elections in Tennessee? Is that
I don't think so. I don't think so unless they're, well, I take that back. Of course people pay attention.
Sure.
The general population, I
Right,
think
that's
only
what
when
I
it's
mean.
contested, really.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't contested this second go round.
Right.
Nobody was running against me. So they're like, yeah, we don't care.
Gotcha.
I feel like in Missouri, at least for the general population, that like a judge has to do something noteworthy that
Right.
made it onto the news.
You get to something really
Yes.
stupid.
Yeah,
for-
to like
Yes.
to have
Don't
somebody.
do stupid.
I know
pay
whenever I
attention.
go to vote and there's the judges, I'm like, who are these people? Like, I don't.
Right.
You have no
You know?
idea because it's not like you interface. It's not like you really hear a lot going on from judges like you do a political person like a senator or something like that. So
Yeah.
it's like a different. I'm not saying they're not doing things, but you don't have like a moment by moment interaction on the news the way you do with other kinds of politics.
No, and we shouldn't. I mean, we shouldn't. We are supposed to be fair and impartial
Right.
and keep our heads down and do our jobs. And so that's good judging. If you're not making the news, that's like you're doing a good thing.
Yeah, that's fair.
Don't be in the news as a judge. That
General
is a
rule of
bad
thumb:
thing.
if you've heard of this judge, they're probably bad. Don't vote for them
Yes.
unless that
Yes.
judge is Kenlyn Foster and you've heard
That's
of
right,
them
in
on
which
the
case-
clip out. That's different.
All news is good news.
That is the one asterisk for this.
That's right.
Thing.
That's right.
I don't even know if you could comment on this, but I'm thinking about watching Court Cam and some of the judges that they would have like that got you may not have made it this far in the series that they've gotten things like DWIs. They've had problems that they end up showing this for a judge. And I'm always surprised, like they're just right back in court. And I'm just like, wow, it's just very interesting how the system is so different for somebody that is already a judge than a person that, like, if I got a DWI, I mean, I would be punished for that, and rightly so. But it's just like, it just looks so different when you see it in that context. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
I think it does. And I mean, again, I'm being really careful what I say
Of
here.
course. Sure.
We're all human. We all make mistakes.
sure.
And we are innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. So,
Fair enough.
you know, if somebody's been charged, but they've not been convicted, you know, they carry on with their lives. If they've been convicted, you know, maybe they've done everything they're supposed to, just like a normal person would have to go to jail for 48 hours and would have to do their community service and be on probation. So I can't probably say anything.
No, I
That's
get
fair.
that.
Those
but
are
when
fair
you
points.
get to the episodes we're talking about,
Well, you should
Okay.
you should
When I get
reach
to the
back out.
episodes.
You reach
Because
back out.
it's
You know
like-
what? I will text you or email you
yeah,
privately.
because they
How does
have
that
the
sound?
one. There's a couple of them where they have like
Okay.
actual like body cam footage of the judge in question being like, "You need to call sheriff whoever and ask him who I am."
Yeah.
and then it's like
we'll let
it's
you
bad.
we'll let you
It's
watch
bad.
that and yeah.
Let me get there and I will email you.
Okay,
my
okay,
comments.
that's-
But my daughter got pulled over. I have 3 kids and they're 20, 27, 24, and 18. So my 18-year-old is my speed demon. So she got pulled over in one of our local municipalities recently. And the next thing I know, I have this officer calling me. And he's like, she didn't tell me who she was. She's your daughter. And I said,
Good.
yeah, she's doing exactly what I told her to do. You're not supposed to use the fact of who I
Right.
am to get out of a speeding ticket, right? That's a really bad thing to do.
Absolutely.
And so she was so upset and she was crying and she was like, Mom, I did what you told me to do. And now he's yelling at me because I didn't tell him that was your daughter. And I was like, and so the officer says, what do you want me to do? And I said, you do exactly what you do with any other idiot 18-year-old going however many miles over the speed limit in a construction zone. Give her a ticket. You know, that's
Yeah.
what you got to do. So
Yeah.
you cannot use it. So that is, yeah, that's bad. Body
Yeah.
cam is bad.
Yeah.
Well, it's good ultimately.
It is.
It's
Right.
good.
It
I can't wait to
is.
get to those episodes.
Yes,
So I'm
yeah.
looking forward to that.
But
I'm also. Oh, go ahead. You
No,
have a
no, go
question.
ahead.
I was just gonna say, if you had to have, like, if you could see the footage from your chambers, like things that have happened in your line of work, is there anything that you can share with us that might have stood out that would have made an interesting episode?
Yes. Yes. So the one that I keep thinking of is I had a young person who was clearly in a crisis
Okay.
and had been detained for a crime. And we were taking testimony. and he just lost it. He lost it. He went ballistic, and I feel really bad for him. But it took several officers to subdue him. And as he is being pretty much carried out of the courtroom, I got to see you next Tuesday.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's like, and it was screamed down the hall, like people could hear it. And I was like, okay, well, there we go. But then he came back and he apologized. So that was like, you have officers carrying this poor child, and he was almost 18. So, but carrying this poor child, but I got the full on, that's like the word of no return. And that's the only time I've ever been called that one. I've been called everything else.
He wanted to make sure he stood out, and hey, it worked.
He did.
Yeah.
He did.
And you're like, hey, you know what? You know what else is a bad word that starts with C? Contempt.
I just said, you're going to go back and sit for a week. And we'll see you next week. So we'll see you next week, not next Tuesday.
I see what you did there.
And then the parents are probably the worst. And it's awful to say, but I mean, I have some parents who just, you feel so sorry for their children because of the way the parents are. But, you know, if parents step out of line, I don't have a problem holding them in contempt or fining them. But just sometimes it happens.
Yeah.
I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can only imagine.
Well, you get the mama bear and papa bear syndrome. People want to protect their children. And when their children are in trouble, they can really get indignant and angry.
Which is really not ultimately helping their child. That's the part that I don't think that they understand, you know?
Yeah.
I know we deal with that where I work. I know this is obviously, we have very different career fields, but like the shows that you tend to have the most problems with are family shows. It's the Disney on Ice.
Really?
It's the circus. It's, graduations. We do like 30 graduations in like a 6-week period. They are the worst because you have all these blended families who maybe didn't blend quite so well, and they probably haven't been together for a long time, and now they're thrown in this very emotional moment, and like, it can get real ugly real fast. So like those are the ones where people really act up.
That's a shame. Do you have security there?
Oh yeah,
where you are? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
But like, one of the lady who runs our security, like she got physically assaulted. Like, I mean, a concussion. Like it looked like the pictures that you probably saw of Crystal. Like it was that bad of a beating she took at the circus.
Yeah, at the circus.
At the circus.
They wouldn't leave the suite.
The show was over and the guy wouldn't leave, and she went up to just say, hey, show's over. And before she got to like he was just on her. And and it's just funny because it was like 3 weeks earlier we had done Snoop Dogg, and everybody's like, oh no, Snoop Dogg. And we didn't have any problems at all. And at the circus,
that's where you have the big moment.
Like this. Yeah,
it's crazy. And like this security person is like so nice.
Oh my God.
And like
she's great.
Because like some security people, they can come in hot, you know, they start like trying to throw their weight around, and she's like not like that at all.
Like that's what she is. She is the best person we've ever had in this position. I've been in the building for almost 17 years with her ability to de-escalate a situation, right? Like she's not coming in playing a tough guy, right? And so for that to happen to her was outrageous. But circus. That's what happens.
Terrible.
It is
just terrible.
Yeah, for
People
sure.
are insane.
They really are. They really are. Yeah. So going back to your gym that you had the competition, will there be a competition part 2?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So October. So
I didn't win, and this will not stand. There will be a second competition.
And I'm his boss, so I could fire him technically, but you know, and he knows that. So, but it was probably he sent me the nicest message about, you know, this was a really great challenge for him. So, but I have to tell you, this was the moment. Monday, I was under the weather Monday, and I actually canceled my docket. But I had been out of town Saturday and Sunday, and I'd been ahead. And I was falling behind. So I got on this thing back here behind me, and I rode 30 miles at a snail's pace. It took me 3 hours to get 30 miles. And I looked up, my husband's walking through, and I'm like, Andy, it never actually occurred to me that I might not win. And he said, he said, honey, and the person I'm competing with, so this is what he says. He said, he is a decade younger than you. And he's a really incredible athlete. And he's a guy, so he's got more muscle mass and more neuromuscular power. And I'm like, so not helping. Why would you say that? I mean, he's not a decade younger. He's 8 years younger, right? and yeah, he's a very incredibly fit athlete, but I'm not chopped liver. And so, he's in his 40s and I'm in my 50s, but it's okay. And he's a guy. And so that was like, oh my gosh. So I really, really fought all week to get caught up. And I couldn't. He in the end smoked me by about 54 miles. So, but yes, so October is our plan. My knee should be fully healed.
Okay.
So, I keep saying I did this with a bum knee. So next time he needs to watch out.
Yeah. Well, and I'm thinking, I don't know, that's just the vibe I'm picking up on. I have a feeling there's going to be some training that goes on between now.
It starts. Like, I have to recover today, but like it starts tomorrow.
Yeah.
I just think it's funny, the conversation between you and your husband, because you were such a lawyer, right?
Oh, I know.
You're like, not a decade, it's 8 years. I just picture you turning to an invisible person being like,
right.
You're on permission to treat as hostile.
That's right. And
8 years,
he
a
was trying
decade?
to
Is that a
help.
metric thing?
Poor man. I adore him. He was so trying to help. It just didn't come out right. He should have said, you know what, you're going to kick his ass tomorrow. So
Feel like he almost got to see you next Tuesday.
I know. And I think our families and probably the rest of my staff is really happy this thing is over, because we have been obsessed. It's been smackdown, and the smack talk has been really bad. And we would we got to finish with court, and then we'd run down to see who could get on the bike, because the one at the temporary holding resource, which we've renamed the health room, is easier. So I would try to get on that one before I went home for the day.
Get
so
as many
we were,
miles as you go.
Gosh, it was crazy.
That is
It was crazy, but I did it.
You did.
I made it to the end,
Yeah.
and I made it over 500 miles, which is a pretty big accomplishment.
It's a huge
Absolutely.
accomplishment.
That's not nothing.
It's a lot of miles.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a tremendous amount of miles. And we already established I
yeah.
can't do math, but I know it's a lot for 1 month. So
Well, and I was still strength training and practicing yoga and teaching yoga, and he was running. So we were like, I don't know what was wrong with us.
I don't know. I feel like by October, you're probably going to have a bunch of other participants too. They're probably.
I hope so. I hope so. We need to spread it out. I know, Thomas, is probably triggering for you, this like level of competition with,
I don't compete.
That's
I
her
know
point.
you don't. I know
That's
you
her
don't. So I'm
point.
saying it's probably triggering about all this really intense competition.
And the reason I don't compete is because I'm so competitive and I know I'll lose. And so I just don't even engage.
I think she listened to your episode with Dr. Jenn. I think that's why she
I
knows
did.
all that.
Oh, goodness.
I know.
More
See,
than-
I know you. I feel like I know you. It's so one-sided. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. What is
3 years, I think I've been listening.
What does your husband do? Is he also a lawyer?
No. He's an architect. And so he is Mr. Calm and
That's
just so kind and considerate and focused. And, so a really good foil for me. And God love him. I mean, putting up with me is really hard.
At least
It is.
you
I
know
mean, and
that.
I'm a former prosecutor too. So it's not like you can get away from the questioning. I'm going to, I'm going to cross-examine you about everything.
I have no doubt. That's that's. Crystal's a project manager, so I get project managed.
He loves
all the
it.
time.
He
It's
loves
fine.
it.
Yes.
I'm just like, point me in the direction you want me to go.
Yeah,
That's what I'll do.
He doesn't like whenever he's off schedule, but whenever there is a schedule to be kept, he is appreciative that it happens.
Yeah.
So
Good.
So, what is your leaderboard name?
I am Wicked Goddess. And it's a long story. I am Wicked Goddess. Yes, I am.
Are you gonna share a short version?
Yes,
of that
I'll share the story. So I will share the story.
Okay.
So I actually don't drink alcohol anymore. I used to. I had long story. I had a weird thing where I passed out, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, and I have a brain tumor. It's benign, it's fine. But so I'm now super, super, super healthy. But I was brewing beer at one point in my life. And so I brewed this really awesome American strong ale that was really high ABV. And I named it the Wicked Goddess. And so we had some friends over and they proceeded to have a little bit of the Wicked Goddess. And I mean, nobody could drive home. We had to call cabs. It was awful. It was sloppy, like sloppy bad, whatever. So then I decided, you know what? I would love to have a brewing company and like make this beer for real. And so I decided we would become the Wicked Goddess Brewing Company. And then, of course, I don't drink anymore and I stopped brewing beer. So, but I had named myself the Wicked Goddess on Peloton. So.
I love it. I love that. That is great.
I thought for sure the way that story was going to go is like, I decided I want to start a brewing company. So I went to the department and I was like, there's an empty room over here that's unused.
Sheriff, can I have that room to brew some beer, please?
Yeah. I'm gonna start my own distillery.
Now, do you have a favorite instructor?
I do. And I love all the instructors. And sometimes my mood will dictate who I need to take. But Dennis is my go-to. Dennis Morton is my go-to pretty much for everything. I don't know. He's the person who can quote pop culture and reference Joseph Campbell in one sentence. And so I really dig that. When I take his yoga classes, whatever his cues are, somehow like I can see what he's talking about in ways that I don't with other instructors. I don't know. I think my brain may work the same way, but I take everybody. I mean, I take everybody's classes. So like last week I had a really rough day, so I needed a Robin class, and I needed to be pepped up. So I took something with Alex, and it just depends. If I need to calm down, maybe I'll take something with Sam Yo. It just kind of where my mood is that day.
That's smart. It's a smart way to do it.
And in your professional opinion, which instructor is most likely to end up in court?
Oh, wow. I hadn't thought about that.
Oh, it's a fun game.
Yeah.
And it's present instructor. You can't name a past one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
You can't just go with Daniel. That's too easy.
Oh, Tom.
Well, he's already in court.
I know. Well, yeah.
He just got done with court.
He did. He did. He's done. They settled.
Yes.
So that's too easy of a
that was an easy
to
one.
choose.
Yeah.
Gosh, I don't know. Let me think about this one. So I'm always surprised Jess King is not like making the news for something. Now she has a baby, so maybe that's, but out of the clubs, you just get into trouble, right?
Okay.
I don't know. Who do you all think? I'm kind of almost afraid to say I might get in trouble.
I think that's why Tom said it. I think he's trying to cause shit.
I was just trying to put you on the spot.
And Jess King, no offense, but you just seem like the type that might just happen to stumble into something fun.
Yeah, exactly. Something fun, and then it goes awry.
Yes.
Yeah,
right.
I could see that. See that.
And okay, then easier question.
Yeah, that was a tough one, Tom.
Yes.
You really put her on the spot.
Do you have?
I really need to think about that one.
Yeah. Do you have any advice for people just entering the world of Peloton?
Oh gosh, yes, I have all kinds of advice. So I would say take an all-for-one ride, because that gives you a little smorgasbord of who your instructors might be, and you might find somebody you like. And then I would say hide the leaderboard, because that's just depressing. And when you're 55, it's really depressing. So just hide the leaderboard. Don't worry about that. And do what you enjoy. Try everything. Try instructors and try scenic rides and try Just Ride. And so, but yeah, try everybody and hide the leaderboard.
That's very good advice. Yeah. And to your point of trying everything, you don't even have to stay with just Peloton. You have TRX, you do your own yoga. Like you can can dabble outside of Peloton. Yes. We won't hate you if you do. It's okay.
Yeah. And the whatever it's the like welcome to Peloton or intro to Peloton, whatever the program is that takes you through strength and yoga and Pilates, like do that. That's really fun, and it helps you understand all the modalities that Peloton offers.
Excellent advice.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join us. Before we let you go, where can people find you on social media, or are you not findable because of what you do?
I am findable. I have a very boring Instagram account, Judge Kenlyn Foster, which is I only post on rarely. I also have my private Instagram account, which is the Wicked Goddess.
Okay.
So you can find me there. I'm at Kenlyn Foster on Twitter and Kenlyn C. Foster on Facebook, and those are professional. So you want to see the down and dirty, go to the Wicked Goddess.
Got it.
Everything else is going to be very buttoned up, which
absolutely
makes sense.
It is. Absolutely. Yes, it does.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. This has been a lot of fun.
It has.
Thank you so much. Take care.
You too.
The Clip Out.
So I guess that brings this episode to a close. Until next time, where can people find you?
People can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Crystal D. O'Keefe. They can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and the Peloton leaderboard at ClipOutCrystal.
And you can find me on Twitter at Roger Kubert or on Facebook at facebook.com/Tom O'Keefe. You can find the show online, facebook.com/TheClipOut. While you're there, like the page, join the group, and of course, don't forget our YouTube channel at youtube.com/TheClipOut. So that's it for this one. Thanks for tuning in. And until next time, keep pedaling
And running.
and rowing.